I've got a question, Pat.
Okay.
Do we have tunnels under Vancouver?
Do we have what? Tunnels?
Good question.
You know, there are some, but they're innocuous. There's supposed to be one that ran from St. Joe's Hospital over to the Academy, but that was, we never had what Portland had. We never had the Shanghai, because we never had that kind of ship come here. They had Shanghai because they had freighters and ships going. We had not that kind of trade. So many of ours were military.
Did we have one that went from the Post Hospital through what would now be I-5 to the mental hospital, which is where Black Angus is now? No. Okay.
That was the mental hospital?
I guess
Where the Sisters of Providence Lunatic Asylum. They advertised that in the paper.
Are there ghost stories still around?
Oh, the Angus? Oh my gosh, yes. Yes.
At Black Angus?
Black Angus, oh yeah. When I was at the museum, waitresses came in and they said, you know, we work at the Black Angus and it's really scary in there. You know, at that time they had all the partitions. They're gone now, but the partitions. And closing time, they felt there was somebody watching them from behind the partitions. And they would put out the candles, they would walk and the candles would be lit. And I said, hey, I had a birthday cake like that. They did not find any music. They would have a male bartender go with them to close up and a male bartender to walk them to their cars. They were just really scared. So, well, yes. That was the site of St. Joe's Hospital.
And it was a scary hospital.
It's a scary hospital.
As a kid, it was spooky.
And then the corners. But before the hospital was built, the Sisters of Providence Lunatic Asylum was built. So they were satisfied. They weren't happy. They still weren't going to go out alone. But
No.
at least they knew what had happened.
Can you tell us what you found in the basement at the Post Hospital?
Oh, the barred rooms that weren't there anymore. I went down with a police lieutenant who had to chase a bad guy into the hospital at midnight.
When was that? When was this?
This was probably about 6 years ago.
Oh.
It was because he wasn't a lieutenant yet. And he saw a door with bars, and he looked into it. And he knew a holding cell when he saw a holding cell. And he wanted to see it again. So we arranged for he and I to go down in the basement of the Post Hospital in the daytime, by the way. And there was no door with bars. No door with bars. However, they did, that is a place. Hospitals, very often there was, the morgue was in the basement of the hospital, and also where they kept mental patients until they could, and of course, obnoxious fighting bad guys that came into the hospital, they could put them in the barred cell. But the barred door was no longer there. It was not there. You couldn't.
And this is where the now Stuart Anderson or...
Oh, no, this is the Post Hospital.
Oh, okay. Where's
St.
the
Joseph's Hospital was where the Black Angus was.
The Post
Okay, where's the
Hospital's
post
down here.
hospital? Oh,
Post-
okay.
Yeah,
It's
the
the
big
brick
brick
building.
building.
Okay.
It's a
Very
very
nice.
spooky. Yeah.
Now, they have pipes that run down through the building into that basement. And because they operate up on the top where all the windows are, because they had no electric lights. That's where they operated, and the blood would run down the pipes into the basement, where they would be collected in jars.
Collected in what?
In jars, metal milk cans.
Yeah, St. Joe's was a Catholic hospital, and it was run by nuns,
Right.
because we were born and raised here.
Me too, yeah.
So, oh, well, you're too young.
Thank you.
But that's where we went, and you know, those nuns were not nuns. Yeah, they were on a mule. Yeah,
If you ever look at the post hospital and it looks funny, that's because in the 50s, when they carved I-5 through, the chunk on the south end of the building was actually on the west side. It was a T-shaped building, and to preserve it, they picked that whole mess up. That's why it doesn't look, and I had the opportunity when I was working to go through with Bob Knight, when he was commandant. And if you look at the old pictures, they took the wing off the back end and moved it around to the south end. So you go in there and look, and it's like there's a porch. You go in, and then there's like the porch is still there. On the outside. It's a weird building, but yeah.
If you go up on the 4th floor of the library and look over at it, you can see the mark on the wall
yeah.
where they cut it off.
I've never gone through that building, so that would be really interesting.
It's not open.
It has not been open to the public, even when the military was still here. When Bob Knight was we used to have ghost stories on Officers Row.
Yes.
And they would reenact a lot of the stories that Pat was telling you, get community actors to come out and do things. And one time, Colonel Knight called, and we were trying to figure out, he wanted to do something in the basement of the hospital, and that's how, being the lead deputy fire marshal at the time, I went through with him, and it's a
No, a Boy Scout group did a haunted house in there one year,
yeah.
and
Yes, I
it
remember.
scared the
It was
pants off
scary.
of you.
I was
Yeah.
there for that.
But
Right up there.
Oh, you were? Oh my
But that
goodness.
was, that was under Colonel Knight, and who was just retired.
How were the Boy
We just
Scouts?
retired from college.
They were having a blast.
Yeah.
Did they love it?
Oh,
Oh,
because
yeah.
they put it on. They made it really
That's
spooky.
so cool.
But I hope that they're rebuilding
Yes.
the barracks, and I really hope they do preserve and
Oh,
put the hospital back.
Yeah. The post hospital will be the last building.
It will be the last building,
Because
yeah.
it's gonna take
It's
a
Spooky
lot
mess.
of money.
What are they gonna do with it? Has that been decided?
There's been a lot of talk, but
It's
it's
still-
so far out in the future.
Right.
Now,
They- they might
the
want it at
barracks across from it
Oh, yeah.
has,
that
is all
makes
booked
sense,
up.
Yeah,
That's residential and professional, and it's all rented out.
It was in this century that they finally redid the artillery barracks.
Yeah.
Right.
And speaking of ghost stories, Royce told me once, because when he was commandant, his office was in that building,
In the artillery barracks?
in the artillery building. And one night he was working in there, and he thought he heard somebody in boots going down the hallway. He didn't think anything of it. And then in the common room, he heard billiard balls clicking on the billiard ball table. So now he thought he better get up and go wander down there and see who's in. And he gets down there, and of course, there's nobody there. And so that's another fairly recent ghost story. And Jeff, have you talked to Jeff Gard about what happened to him in the auditorium?